In the final chaotic days of World War II, as Berlin burned and the Third Reich crumbled, convoys of trucks slipped into the mountains of southern Germany, loaded not with soldiers or weapons, but with gold, art, and jewels worth billions. When the war ended, much of it simply vanished. For decades, whispers of hidden Nazi treasure haunted Europe, from the depths of Alpine lakes to the vaults of secret Swiss banks. But how much of it was ever found, and how much still lies buried beneath history's silence? In early 1945, the Nazi regime was collapsing under the combined weight of the Allied advance from the west and the Red Army's onslaught from the east. Adolf Hitler's dream of a 1,000-year Reich was reduced to rubble and panic. But amid the chaos, another, quieter operation was underway. One not fought with guns, but with gold. For years, the Nazis had looted Europe on an industrial scale. As they conquered nation after nation, they seized not only land and resources, but also the financial heart of each country. Its gold reserves, national art collections, and private wealth. The German occupation forces methodically stripped banks, churches, and even the homes of Jewish families. Gold teeth from concentration camp victims, wedding rings, and personal jewelry were melted down and recast into bullion. By 1945, the Reichsbank, Germany's central bank, held a staggering reserve of looted gold, estimated at over 600 tons. But as Allied bombing intensified and Germany's defeat became inevitable, the Nazi leadership made a fateful decision: to hide their treasure. The plan was simple: disperse and conceal as much of the gold and art as possible, preventing it from falling into enemy hands. Trains laden with crates of gold and currency left Berlin under the cover of night, bound for the Bavarian Alps, a region that many Nazi officials believed would become a final stronghold, the mythical Alpine fortress. One of the most infamous destinations was the small town of Merkers in Thuringia. There, deep within a salt mine, Nazi officials hid a colossal hoard of treasure. In April 1945, advancing US forces stumbled upon it. Inside the tunnels, they found over 100 tons of gold, stacked neatly alongside crates of stolen currency, art, and even the personal belongings of concentration camp victims. General Dwight D. Eisenhower himself visited the site, calling it one of the greatest recoveries of stolen wealth in history. But Merkers was just one cache. Many others were never found. As Allied forces swept through Germany, reports began to surface of trucks disappearing into mountain passes, and of submarines leaving northern ports carrying mysterious cargo. In Austria, the Toplitzsee and Grundlsee lakes became focal points of rumor. Villagers spoke of SS units dumping sealed crates into the freezing water as the war ended. In the 1950s, divers did indeed find chests at the bottom, not of gold, but of counterfeit British pounds. These were remnants of Operation Bernhard, the Nazi plan to flood Britain with fake currency. But it fueled the legend. If the Nazis hid forged money in these lakes, what else might they have hidden there? The fate of the Nazi gold became one of history's most enduring mysteries. After the war, the Allied powers created the Tripartite Gold Commission, made up of the US, Britain, and France, to recover and redistribute the looted gold to the countries it was stolen from. Over the next decades, they tracked down thousands of bars stored in Swiss, Portuguese, and Spanish banks, nations that had traded with Nazi Germany during the war. But much of the gold's trail ran cold. Switzerland, officially neutral, had served as the Reich's economic lifeline. The Nazis exchanged looted gold for hard currency and strategic materials, laundering their theft through Swiss banks. The Swiss National Bank alone received an estimated 440 million Swiss francs worth of gold from Germany during the war, a large portion of it believed to be stolen from occupied Europe and Jewish victims. When the war ended, the Swiss denied knowing the gold's origins, claiming they had traded in good faith. The US pressured Switzerland to return the assets, and after years of negotiation, a settlement was reached, but it was only a fraction of what had been taken. The secrecy of Swiss banking laws protected much of the rest. Meanwhile, in the shadows of post-war Europe, the hunt for Nazi treasure continued. Allied intelligence officers, former resistance fighters, and opportunistic fortune seekers all joined the search. The CIA and British intelligence collected reports of buried caches across Germany, Austria, and even northern Italy. One persistent rumor centered around Lake Walchen, where locals claimed SS troops sank several trucks in April 1945. Divers explored the lake for years but found nothing conclusive. Another rumor pointed to Einsiedeln Abbey in Switzerland, where it was said Nazi officials smuggled gold disguised as religious artifacts. Then there was the train. Perhaps the most famous legend of all is the so-called Nazi gold train of Poland. In 2015, two amateur treasure hunters claimed to have discovered a hidden tunnel near the city of Wałbrzych, once part of Germany's Lower Silesia. They believed it contained a train filled with gold, jewels, and stolen art, sealed within the mountains since 1945. The story captured global attention. Excavations were launched, Polish authorities oversaw radar scans and drilling operations, but the train was never found. To this day, its existence remains unproven, though eyewitness accounts from 1945 describe a train vanishing into a sealed tunnel near the area. Yet while many of these tales turned to dust, others had roots in hard evidence. After the war, hundreds of tons of Nazi gold did pass through Allied hands. Some of it was melted down and redistributed to national banks. Some was quietly absorbed into post-war reconstruction funds, and some simply vanished from official records. The US military, for instance, discovered a vast hoard in the Bavarian town of Mittenwald, but in the confusion of occupation, entire shipments went missing. One American officer was convicted in 1946 for stealing gold coins from the recovered Nazi loot. He was far from the only one. In a Europe shattered by war, morality often blurred. The post-war black market became a feeding ground for those who knew where to look. Former SS officers, Allied soldiers, and even local civilians traded in stolen Nazi valuables. Networks of smuggling, sometimes referred to as rat lines, helped Nazi fugitives escape to South America using looted funds. Some of that money, according to historians, came directly from the hidden reserves of the Reich. Argentina, under President Juan Perón, became a key destination. Perón sympathized with the Axis powers and provided sanctuary to fleeing Nazi officials. The theory goes that part of their safe passage was paid for with Nazi gold, smuggled through Spain, Italy, and Switzerland before reaching Buenos Aires. Though definitive proof remains elusive, Swiss banking documents and declassified US intelligence files confirm large financial movements from Europe to South America during those years. In 1997, the mystery of the Nazi gold resurfaced in the public eye when Swiss banks faced a massive class action lawsuit. Holocaust survivors and their families accused them of hiding accounts opened by Jewish victims and of laundering Nazi loot. Under mounting international pressure, Swiss banks finally agreed to pay $1.25 billion in restitution. It was one of the largest financial settlements in history related to World War II crimes. But that settlement didn't answer the deeper question: where had all the Nazi gold really gone? Researchers estimate that up to one-third of the looted assets were never recovered. Some of it was likely melted down, re-smelted, and quietly reintroduced into the global gold market. Bars stamped with Nazi markings were recast, losing all trace of their origins. Others may still lie buried in forgotten bunkers, sealed vaults, or beneath the cold waters of Alpine lakes. In 2016, divers exploring Lake Toplitz once again found wooden crates and metallic objects beneath the silt. But safety concerns prevented deeper excavation. The Austrian government later restricted diving in the area due to unexploded ordnance, ensuring the legend of Toplitzsee would remain just that, a legend. Yet the story doesn't end with lost treasure. The Nazi gold has left a darker legacy, one of financial complicity and moral compromise. The looting of Europe wasn't only a byproduct of war, it was a calculated economic strategy. The Nazi state financed its war machine through plunder. Every bar of gold seized, every painting stolen, and every coin melted down was another bullet fired, another tank built, another concentration camp supplied. When the Allies uncovered the treasure, they didn't just find wealth, they found evidence. Each bar of gold, stamped with serial numbers from occupied countries, told a story of suffering and exploitation. The gold from Jewish victims' teeth and wedding rings, processed through the Reichsbank's Melmer account, became one of the most chilling symbols of how bureaucracy and genocide were intertwined. Decades later, historians and governments are still uncovering new information. Declassified archives reveal secret negotiations between Allied and neutral states, hidden accounts in Liechtenstein, and covert post-war operations to track stolen assets. Some documents suggest that intelligence agencies deliberately kept certain discoveries quiet, fearing that exposing them would embarrass Allied nations that profited from post-war gold flows. It's also clear that the search for Nazi gold became a convenient myth, one that blurred the line between truth and obsession. Treasure hunters, journalists, and even state-sponsored expeditions chased rumors for decades, often ignoring the deeper historical truth. The greatest treasure the Nazis stole wasn't gold, but lives, cultures, and futures. Still, the mystery remains irresistible. In 2020, a Polish foundation claimed it had identified a 16th-century palace used by the SS as a wartime command post, believed to conceal underground chambers. Excavations began but yielded no treasure, only a deeper understanding of how far the legend had traveled. Today, when historians talk about Nazi gold, they aren't just referring to bullion or currency. They're speaking about the tangled web of greed, secrecy, and moral decay that defined the war's final days. A story that continues to cast its shadow across Europe's mountains, lakes, and financial institutions. Even now, the full inventory of what the Nazis looted and what remains hidden may never be known. Each discovery, each newly opened vault, adds another piece to a puzzle that may never be complete. Because in the end, the gold was never just treasure. It was evidence of humanity's darkest hour, buried under layers of secrecy, silence, and greed. 80 years after the fall of the Third Reich, the legend of Nazi gold endures, not just in rumor, but in the historical record of greed, war, and complicity. Some of the treasure was found, some was melted down, and some, perhaps, still lies untouched beneath the cold waters of forgotten lakes. But the real weight of the Nazi gold isn't in what it's worth. It's in what it represents: the stolen lives, cultures, and memories of a Europe torn apart by tyranny. If you found this story as haunting as it is fascinating, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe the missing Nazi gold still exists? Or is it gone forever, lost to history? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more deep historical investigations, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Because the past is never truly buried, it just waits to be found.